Hi, this is Sally. I don't know whether you're like me. Sometimes when I pray and ask God about something, and I think He answered, but I don't like the answer, so I'll ask Him again. And sometimes we pretend to, or at least I want to confirm the answer, or I don't like the answer, or I'm not sure, and I tend to ask the Lord again and again, especially if I think it's the answer that I don't like, as compared to say, hey, it's the answer that I like, and I immediately do it and not ask it again, right? So I read this incident in Numbers 22, and let me just tell you what happened. In Numbers 22, Israel was in the wilderness, and by this time they were quite a force. So Moab was very, very wary about Israel. And so they wanted to employ a prophet, Balaam, to curse Israel. So what happened was they sent people to ask Balaam about it. Like, can you help me? If you help me curse Israel, I'm going to reward you greatly for it. Okay, so in Numbers 22, the elders of Moab came to Balaam, and Balaam told them, in verse 8, to lodge here this night, and I will bring you word again as the Lord shall speak unto me. And the princes of Moab abode with Balaam. Verse 9, and God came unto Balaam and said, what men are these with thee? And so basically, Balaam told the Lord what happened. And in verse 12, God said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them, thou shalt not curse the people, for they are blessed. So in the end, Balaam could only reject the people of Moab. But what happened was Balak, which was their leader, sent them again to ask Balaam again. Right? And this time he also promised in verse 17, for I will promote thee unto very great honor, and I will do whatsoever thou sayest unto me. Come therefore, I pray thee, curse me this people. And in verse 18, Balaam answered and said, if Balak would give me his house full of silver and gold, I cannot go beyond the word of the Lord my God to do less or more. It's quite interesting. So in verse 19 he said, now therefore I pray you, tarry ye also here this night, that I may know what the Lord will say unto me more. And in verse 20, God came unto Balaam at night and said unto him, if the men come to call thee, rise up and go with them. But yet the word which I shall say unto thee, that shalt thou do. And verse 21, Balaam rose up in the morning and saddled his ass and went with the princes of Moab. Verse 22, and God's anger was kindled because he went. So there are, I think, two readings. When I first read this, I was a little shocked, because the second time he asked the Lord, and God told him to go with them. Or that was how I read it, basically the Lord said, if the men come to thee, rise up and go with them. And so Balaam went, and God was angry. In verse 22, God's anger was kindled. So I was wondering to myself, right? But he did what God said. So why was God angry? I think from this I can see that Balaam actually wanted to go. He really wanted to, go and do Balak's bidding to curse the people of Israel. And so actually, even though the first time the Lord told him not to go, he rejected, but he was quite half-hearted about it. That was why he asked the Lord again. So I shared this in my group yesterday during discipleship, and one of the sisters pointed out to me, actually, when God came to Balaam at night the second time, he said, if the men come to call thee. In verse 21, it doesn't say that the men came up to them. It said that Balaam himself rose up in the morning and went with them. So, but I think the point remains the same. By this time, Balaam had purpose in his heart to actually follow them. So I think many times, we can't decide ourselves. I feel like we know that what the Lord wants. We're not, to be honest, right? Balaam actually knew. He asked the Lord. It was very clear, right? The first time, God said unto Balaam, thou shalt not go with them. So when God says it very clearly, but we want to do something on our own accord, and then we pretend and ask the Lord again, God, says that, hey, if the man comes up to you, then you go with them. But when Balaam actually went, God was angry. So I think the fact whether the man came up to him or he went to them, right, the underlying point was his heart was already with them. And I think a lot of times for God, it is not only our outward actions, it's not only just outward obedience, but also what's in our heart. And I think we need to really examine our heart and remind ourselves and humble ourselves before God, and know our place, like not our will but your will be done. So this is my sharing today. I think the lesson that I learned is that to pray about it, it's okay to seek the Lord and clarify. Sometimes we find that we're hard of hearing, but sometimes it's very clear that God has spoken already, and it is, I think, hypocritical perhaps in the Lord's eyes to pretend that we have not heard, or to purpose in our hearts otherwise. So I hope you like the sharing today, and I'll see you in the next video.